Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're tackling something every single one of us has probably experienced at some point, but man, do we wildly underestimate it. We're talking about the real biological risks of road trips and those grueling long commutes. Yep, driver tiredness. And look, it's not just about needing an extra cup of coffee. We are talking about a critical, literal life or death safety hazard that fundamentally alters how your brain and body function behind the wheel.
Okay, let's dive into this. Imagine, on one hand, driving after a sleepless night, and on the other, driving while completely drunk. Well, our sources highlight a really jarring biological reality here. Your reaction time after a sleepless night is completely comparable to that of an intoxicated person. Think about that for a second. You're fundamentally impairing your body's ability to safely operate a heavy machine. It's a super sobering thought when you realize just how many of us get behind the wheel feeling a little groggy.
Now, while pure exhaustion, sleep deprivation, or even certain medications are obvious causes of fatigue, there are environmental triggers too. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the absolute biggest culprits. Long, straight, uninterrupted roads might look like the easiest driving conditions imaginable, right? But that sheer monotony is incredibly dangerous. The consistent drone of the engine, plus that constant hum of the tires on a road exactly like this one, it literally lulls your senses to sleep.
So how do you actually know when you're crossing into that danger zone? Well, there are some pretty creepy, unexpected physical indications that you need to be on high alert for. Put yourself in the driver's seat for a second. Out of nowhere, you get this sudden dry mouth. Or you start feeling strangely cold, even though the heater's blasting. Maybe you feel this weird, unexpected muscle relaxation, or even scarier, you start seeing optical illusions, where your eyes are literally playing tricks on you in the distance. If you're experiencing these bizarre symptoms, your body is basically screaming that it needs to recuperate, and you are in immediate danger.
Alongside those really strange signs, there are, of course, the more common indications of tiredness. You know, the ones we constantly try to just brush off. We're talking about blurred vision, frequent yawning, and that totally unmistakable feeling where your head just feels impossibly heavy, like a bowling ball. But here's the absolutely crucial part. This fatigue leads directly to incredibly poor decision-making and a massive loss of coordination. You might find yourself overreacting to tiny things on the road or struggling to even maintain a steady speed. It is, for sure, a recipe for disaster.
So the crucial point is understanding what happens when you push past these warnings, which brings us to a frankly terrifying concept: microsleeping. What this means is you nod off and wake up almost immediately with a sudden jerk of the head. It happens so fast, frequently lasting for less than a single second. But think about the physics of that for a moment. Your brain completely shuts down while you're operating a fast-moving vehicle. At highway speeds, your car covers a massive amount of ground totally blindly in just that fraction of a second.
Now let's look at when this danger is actually most likely to strike. The data shows that the vast majority of tiredness-related accidents occur right in the window between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. This is basically the biological danger zone. During these pre-dawn hours, your body's natural circadian rhythm is aggressively demanding rest. The sheer biological need to recuperate is fighting you, the driver, the absolute hardest right here.
And to put the sheer scale of this risk into perspective, 40%. That is wild. 40% of all single-vehicle accidents outside of built-up areas happen either at night or at dawn. This stat really drives home the extreme risk of these specific driving conditions. Think about it. You're isolated, the lighting is terrible, the environment is incredibly monotonous, and your physical reflexes are at their absolute lowest point.
Now what's really interesting here is the specific insight from the data. The risk of accidents increases with proximity to your destination, as you relax thinking that you are almost there. Honestly, this is a fascinating and tragic psychological twist. You might assume the dead middle of a long journey is the toughest part, right? But the absolute most dangerous part of your drive is the very end. You finally drop your guard, your adrenaline fades, you tell yourself you'll just power through those last few miles, and that relaxation of focus is exactly when accidents happen.
Okay, let's pivot from the problem to the solution. How do we avoid this entirely? Preventative prep is key here. First, obviously, only drive when you're well rested. Second, keep your environment alert. Make sure the car isn't too warm, because a cozy car will definitely make you drowsy. Plan to take a proper break after about an hour of driving, and I mean actually getting out of the car to move around. And here's a really specific, super interesting tip from the source. Do not eat heavy foods, like a massive roadside burger or a big steak dinner, right before you drive. Digestion takes a ton of energy and will inevitably make you sluggish behind the wheel.
We also need to recognize that some factors are strictly medical, not just circumstantial.
Our sources highlight sleep apnea, which involves breathing problems that actually disrupt your sleep at night. People with this condition might genuinely think they're getting a full night's rest, but this underlying issue silently causes the exact type of severe sleep deprivation we've been talking about. And that leads to a significantly higher risk of tiredness-related traffic accidents.
But what if you're already on the road driving and you start feeling those weird warning signs? Well, here are the exact source-backed emergency steps to temporarily reduce fatigue. Step 1, pull over, take a break, actually stretch your legs, and get some fresh air into your lungs. Step 2, drink coffee or another form of caffeine to stimulate your system. Step 3, take a short nap. The ideal light nap here is between 15 and 30 minutes. But remember, it has to be no less than 15 minutes to actually be effective.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because here is the ultimate truth you need to take away from this explainer. Those steps we just discussed, the coffee, the stretching, the quick nap, they are just temporary hacks. The best and only right way to truly reduce tiredness is to get a long sleep, period. Tiredness is an absolute, non-negotiable indication that your body needs to recuperate so that all your senses can function optimally. You literally cannot cheat your biology forever. As we wrap up our analysis today, I want to challenge you with a direct question straight from official theory test materials. Based on everything we've covered today, I want you to ask yourself, could it be prohibited to drive a vehicle when you are tired? Really think about the impaired reaction times, the microsleeping, those scary accident statistics. Do you think there's a firm legal line drawn here?
Well, the answer is yes, absolutely yes. According to the Road Traffic Ordinance, a vehicle may not be driven by a person who is incapable of driving the vehicle in a safe manner due to fatigue. Driving while exhausted isn't just a physically dangerous choice, it's strictly forbidden and punishable by law. You are legally required to be fit to operate that vehicle safely. So the next time you feel your eyes getting heavy and you're tempted to just push through those final few miles, ask yourself, is saving a little time really worth risking absolutely everything?